Hey there, just lie back, get cozy, and let your mind wander as we travel back 5,000 years to the ancient world of the Indus Valley Civilization. Let this gentle journey help you relax, or even drift off to sleep.
Long before the first pharaohs ruled Egypt, before the Great Wall of China was even a dream, there existed a civilization so advanced, so meticulously planned, that it would rival the most sophisticated cities of today. Buried beneath layers of earth and centuries of silence, it lay forgotten. Until the 1920s, when a railway project in British India accidentally unearthed the ruins of Harappa. What followed was one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries in human history. In this podcast, we will travel back 5,000 years to explore the cities, culture, and mysterious legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the oldest urban societies ever built. The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, flourished from around 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE in the northwestern regions of South Asia. Stretching across more than 1 million square kilometers, it was larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Its cities, Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Dholavira, Lothal, were marvels of early urban planning. But unlike other ancient civilizations, there were no grand pyramids, no towering statues of kings or gods. The power of the Indus lay not in spectacle, but in structure. The Indus River, fed by Himalayan snowmelt, was the lifeline of the civilization. It flooded predictably, depositing rich silt that allowed agriculture to thrive. But there was another river, now lost to time, the Gagahakra, believed by some to be the ancient Saraswati, may have once supported dozens of Indus cities. This fertile network of rivers enabled not just farming, but commerce, communication, and culture. It was in this environment that the first bricks were laid for something unprecedented. In 1856, workers laying railway tracks between Lahore and Karachi stumbled upon kiln-fired bricks unlike anything in the region. Local villagers had been using these bricks for generations, unaware they were walking on the remnants of a lost city. It wasn't until 1921 that archaeologist Daya Ram Sahni began formal excavations at Harappa, followed by R.D. Banerjee at Mohenjo-Daro a year later. What they uncovered stunned the world: streets in grid patterns, sophisticated drainage systems, and thousands of artifacts suggesting a complex, literate, and highly organized society. But with every answer came a dozen new questions. Who ruled these cities? Why are there no palaces or temples? What happened to the people of the Indus? And most haunting of all, what does their mysterious, undeciphered script actually say? As we journey deeper, you'll see how these ancient people not only built mega cities, they challenged everything we thought we knew about early civilizations. The hallmark of Indus cities was their impeccable planning. Streets were laid out in a grid pattern, oriented to the cardinal directions. Residential and commercial areas were separated, and wide main streets intersected with narrower lanes, much like a modern city. This wasn't accidental. The uniformity across sites like Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and Kalibangan suggests a central planning authority, or at least a shared cultural blueprint that prioritized order, cleanliness, and functionality. One of the unsung heroes of the Indus Valley Civilization, the humble brick. Made from fired or sun-dried clay, these bricks were produced in standardized ratios, most commonly 1 to 2 to 4 dimensions. This allowed for quick construction and easy replacement. This level of standardization hints at a society with complex knowledge of mathematics and material science, and possibly a regulated construction industry. Perhaps the most astonishing feature of Indus cities was their advanced water management systems. Almost every house had access to water, either via a private well or a communal one. Wastewater was funneled into covered drains running along the streets. These drains were not only sealed and maintained, but also included inspection holes for cleaning, something many modern cities still struggle to implement effectively. The crown jewel, the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, a massive, watertight public pool lined with bricks and bitumen, likely used for ritual bathing. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, the Indus cities lack overt monuments to kings or gods. No grand statues, no palatial tombs. What we see instead is a civilization focused on practicality, hygiene, and community living. Their citadels housed public buildings, granaries, and bath structures, not royal palaces. Power, it seems, was more institutional than individual. From their bricks to their baths, the builders of the Indus Valley were master engineers and urban visionaries. But who lived in these homes? What did they eat, wear, and believe? As we walk through the ruins of Harappa or Mohenjo-Daro, it's easy to marvel at the buildings, the bricks, the drains. But to truly understand the Indus Valley Civilization, we must walk in the footsteps of its people.
They lived simply, but not primitively. Their choices in dress, diet, hygiene, and worship reflected a deep connection to the land, each other, and a world unseen. And yet, as we try to understand their daily life, one truth becomes clear. The Indus Valley Civilization was not just...
Who were they? These men and women who built a world of order and cleanliness. Archaeological evidence gives us a glimpse. Their skeletons suggest a mostly healthy, robust population with relatively egalitarian access to food and health. They likely spoke a Proto-Dravidian language, although the mystery of their script still leaves much to speculation. But through bones, homes, and tools, we can start to reconstruct their lives.
Indus homes were surprisingly modern. Most had private wells, bathrooms, and even multi-story designs. Built from baked bricks, these homes clustered in neighborhoods around wells and courtyards. The family unit was likely the cornerstone of society, though extended families may have shared living spaces. Kitchens included clay ovens, and large storage jars held grains or water. Section 3. Food and farming. The Indus diet was diverse and nutritious. They cultivated wheat, barley, lentils, peas, dates, and evidence even suggests the presence of rice and cotton. Chickens, buffalo, and zebu cattle were domesticated. Fishing was common, as seen in the hooks and nets found in coastal cities like Lothal. Spices and oils, stored in small pottery jars, suggest flavor and culinary complexity. Section 4. Clothing and adornment. Though fabrics rarely survive the ages, terracotta figurines and seal images tell us about fashion in the Indus. Men likely wore wrapped cloths or robes, women perhaps draped dresses or skirts, similar to a sari. Ornaments were everywhere: bangles, necklaces, beads made from carnelian, faience, and even imported lapis lazuli from Afghanistan. Hair was styled and personal grooming seemed important. Section 5. Work and occupations. The Indus economy was driven by skilled labor. Pottery was mass-produced using fast wheels. Metalworkers crafted tools and ornaments from bronze, copper, and gold. Weavers spun cotton, possibly the first to ever do so. Traders operated both locally and internationally. Seals with animal motifs and script marked ownership in goods, suggesting complex economic transactions and maybe even contracts. Section 6. Religion and beliefs. The spiritual world of the Indus is harder to define. There were no massive temples, but some homes featured small altars or fire pits. The iconic Pashupati seal a figure surrounded by animals, seated cross-legged, may be a precursor to the Hindu god Shiva. Female figurines, sometimes referred to as mother goddesses, suggest fertility worship. and the centrality of water, especially the Great Bath, hints at ritual purification practices. The Indus Valley Civilization, the mega-cities lost to time, long before the first pharaohs ruled Egypt, before the Great Wall of China was even a dream. There existed a civilization so advanced, so meticulously planned, that it would rival the most sophisticated cities of today. Buried beneath layers of earth and centuries of silence, it lay forgotten until the 1920s, when a railway project in British India accidentally unearthed the ruins of Harappa. What followed was one of the most remarkable archaeological discoveries in human history. In this film, we will travel back 5,000 years to explore the cities, culture, and mysterious legacy of the Indus Valley Civilization, known of the oldest urban societies ever built. What was the Indus Valley Civilization? The Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization, flourished from around 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE in the northwestern regions of South Asia. Stretching across more than 1 million square kilometers, it was larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. Its cities, Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Dholavira, Lothalware, marvels of early urban planning. But unlike other ancient civilizations, there were no grand pyramids, no towering statues of kings or gods. The power of the Indus lay not in spectacle, but in structure. Geography and environment. The Indus River, fed by Himalayan snowmelt, was the lifeline of the civilization. It flooded predictably, depositing rich silt that allowed agriculture to thrive. But there was another river now lost to time. The Ghaggar-Hakra, believed by some to be the ancient Saraswati, may have once supported dozens of Indus cities. This fertile network of rivers enabled not just farming, but commerce, communication, and culture. It was in this environment that the first bricks were laid for something unprecedented: discovery and rediscovery. In 1856, workers laying railway tracks between Lahore and Karachi stumbled upon keyline-fired bricks unlike anything in the region. Local villagers had been using these bricks for generations, unaware they were walking on the remnants of a lost city. It wasn't until 1921 that archaeologist Dayaram Sani began formal excavations at Harappa, followed by R.D. Banerjee at Mohenjo-Daro a year later. What they uncovered stunned the world's streets in grid patterns, sophisticated drainage systems, and thousands of artifacts suggesting a complex, literate, and highly organized society. The big questions. But with every answer came a dozen new questions. Who ruled these cities? Why are there no palaces or temples? What happened to the people of the Indus? And most haunting of all, what does their mysterious, undeciphered script actually say? As we journey deeper, you'll see how these ancient people not only built megacities, they challenged everything we thought we knew about early civilizations. In the next chapter, we'll enter the heart of these ancient cities, exploring the engineering marvels that defined a civilization 50 years ahead of its time. The Great Disappearance. For over 700 years, the cities of the Indus Valley thrived. But then, something changed. Streets once full of life grew quiet. Wells ran dry. Homes were abandoned. And by 1900 BCE, the civilization began to unravel. The puzzle of decline. No single cause explains the collapse of the Indus Valley Civilization. Instead, it's a mystery built on scattered clues. There's no evidence of war or conquest, no burnt layers from sacking armies, but signs of gradual decline are everywhere. In Mohenjo-Daro, bodies were found hastily buried. Streets went unmaintained. Brick sizes began to vary, suggesting loss of standardization and possibly governance, climate, and environment. Climate change is one of the strongest theories. Around 2000 BCE, the monsoons that once reliably fed the Indus rivers began to shift. The Ghaggar-Hakra dried up. The once fertile floodplains turned arid. Crops failed. People moved. Studies of lake sediments and ice cores reveal a long-term drought spanning centuries. Without reliable water, the urban centers couldn't survive. River migration and earthquakes. Some researchers suggest that tectonic activity caused rivers like the Indus and the Gagahakra to change course, cutting off water to entire cities. This would have devastated agriculture and forced mass migration. Abandoning cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa may not have been a sudden catastrophe, but a gradual exodus in search of water and opportunity. The Aryan migration theory. For decades, historians debated the idea that Indo-Aryan nomads from Central Asia invaded the Indus region, displacing its people. This theory, once dominant, is now under serious scrutiny. While Indo-Aryan languages did eventually spread, there is little archaeological evidence of violent conflict. More likely, the newcomers assimilated into or coexisted with a civilization already in decline. A gradual fade, not a sudden fall. Rather than a dramatic end, the Indus Valley Civilization seems to have faded slowly. Its people didn't vanish, they moved eastward, merging with smaller farming communities in the Gangetic Plains. Many elements of their culture-urban planning, crafts, water management may have continued in subtle ways. It's tempting to search for a single dramatic cause, but like the civilization itself, the truth is more complex, more nuanced. The Indus Valley didn't fall. It transformed, leaving behind echoes that still shape the Indian subcontinent. The undeciphered script. Of all the riddles left behind by the Indus Valley Civilization, none is more haunting than this. A script carved into thousands of tiny seals and tablets that no one on Earth can read. For nearly a century, scholars, linguists, and codebreakers have tried to unlock its meaning. But this ancient language has kept its secrets. The discovery of the script. The first Indus script was uncovered in the 1,870s tiny signs etched onto seal stones and pottery. By the 1920s, archaeologists realized they had uncovered a full writing system. Over 40 inscriptions have been found on seals, tools, ornaments, and tablets, each one offering a potential window into the minds of these ancient people. What do the symbols say? The script is composed of over 400 distinct signs. Some represent humans or animals, others are geometric. Many inscriptions are just 4 to 10 symbols long. Are they names, titles, religious phrases, trade documents? No one knows for sure. And without longer texts or a bilingual Rosetta Stone-style key, decoding it has become one of the greatest linguistic challenges in the world. Theories and attempts. Several theories have emerged. Some scholars believe the language behind the script was Dravidian, the same language family spoken in southern India today. Others argue it might be early Indo, Aryan, or even a unique isolate language with no modern equivalent. In the early 2000s, computer scientists used algorithms to analyze the structure of the script. They found that the symbols follow rules similar to spoken language, suggesting it's not just symbolic art, but a real writing system. Controversies and debates. Despite decades of work, the script remains undeciphered, and some scholars have raised an even bolder question. Was it a script at all? A minority of researchers argue the symbols might not represent a language, but rather a system of non-linguistic symbols, like family crests or trademarks. But that view remains highly controversial, especially given the regularity and structure seen across hundreds of inscriptions. The quest continues. Today, the effort to decode the Indus script continues. New technologies from machine learning to high-resolution imaging are offering fresh hope. But the truth may remain hidden until new discoveries are made. Longer texts, more context, or perhaps a breakthrough buried in the sands of South Asia. The people of the Indus Valley spoke, they wrote, but their words are locked behind time. Their silence is not absence, it is waiting. And someday we may finally understand what they were trying to say. Legacy and lessons. In the ruins of vanished cities, in the undeciphered seals, In the bones of old walls and lost rivers, there lies a quiet legacy. The Indus Valley Civilization may have disappeared, but its spirit lives on. This final chapter is not about what was lost, but what remains. Cultural echoes. Archaeologists have found deep connections between Indus culture and later South Asian traditions. The use of terracotta figurines, bangles, and symmetrical beadwork are still seen today in crafts from Gujarat to Punjab. Faint echoes of the Indus style persist in regional architecture, urban layouts, and even in the design of traditional Indian wells and stepwells. Some linguists believe that Dravidian loanwords, particularly those connected to agriculture and city life, may have roots in Harappan speech. The genius of urban planning. The cities of the Indus teach us that true innovation isn't always grand or monumental. It's practical, it's people-centered. From perfectly aligned streets and efficient sewage systems to public wells and standardized brick sizes, they created cities not just to impress, but to live in. In many ways, the Indus was ahead of its time. Its citizens had access to clean water, waste removal, marketplaces, and neighborhood-level design that some modern cities still struggle to provide. A civilization without kings? One of the most remarkable aspects of the Indus Valley is what we don't see. No evidence of kings, temples, or elite palaces. There are no depictions of battles or military conquests, no statues of rulers carved into stone. This has led some to believe it was an egalitarian society, one where power was decentralized and cooperation trumped coercion. While we can't know for sure, it forces us to ask, was the Indus Valley a different kind of civilization, one that valued order, stability, and collective effort over domination? Lessons for today. The Indus Valley Civilization may also offer a cautionary tale. They thrived by working with nature using seasonal floods, adapting to river cycles, and building resilient infrastructure. But when the climate changed, when the rivers shifted and the monsoons failed, their cities withered. In our world of growing climate crises, the story of the Indus reminds us, sustainability is not a luxury, it's survival, remembering what was forgotten. For centuries, this civilization was forgotten, its cities buried, its script silent, its name unspoken. But today, through the work of archaeologists, historians, and storytellers like you, the Indus Valley lives again. It's not just history, it's humanity. A reminder that long before modern borders, long before nations and flags, there were people dreaming, building, living. The Indus Valley Civilization wasn't lost. It was waiting to be found, waiting to be remembered. And now it has a voice once more. The end or the beginning?